Hello, this is Scoutmaster Larson from Troop 516 South Pasadena. I'm making this video for those who need makeup work for the Astronomy Merit Badge because they've missed one or more of the lessons. This is my first time doing this kind of presentation, so I hope you can be forgiving. Okay, the first requirement, Astronomy 1A, says explain to your counselor the most likely hazards you may encounter while participating in astronomy activities and what you should do to anticipate, help, prevent, mitigate, and respond to these hazards. So I am going to relay this information to you. After I'm done with this short segment, I need you to find your parent or guardian and communicate that information to them, and they will help you pass off this information. They'll report to me about your work. So one of the hazards for doing astronomy is moving around in the dark. You can obviously there's potential to trip and fall or to walk into things, and you can get a lot of abrasions and cuts that way. So it's recommended that you use a flashlight so you can see where you're walking, but bright white light can cause your eyes to dilate and not see the stars as clearly. So we recommend that you put a red filter on your flashlight. Red light is much less likely to make your eyes dilate, so we use red instruments if anything needs to glow when you're doing astronomy. So for example, if you're using a cell phone with an astronomy app, usually you want to put it into the red light setting when you're doing astronomy. So what you can do with the flashlight is to just put a little bit of red cellophane or something of that nature over the light or over the lens of the flashlight in order to make sure that just the red light gets through. And another thing that can be useful is to check out the area in the daylight so that you know what's out there and any potential hazards. Another important thing if you're making daytime observations is to protect your eyes. Most astronomy is done at nighttime, but if you're looking at an eclipse or looking at sunspots or the moon, you don't want to look directly at the sun with your own eyes. That can be damaging. You can have a blank spot in your field of vision for the rest of your life if you look at the sun too long. So never look unless you have the proper equipment directly at the sun. Okay, in terms of weather, it can be very cold at nighttime, especially during the winter, so wear warm clothing. The next one says to use some sunscreen if observing during the day. Now, again, most astronomy is done at nighttime, but for a solar eclipse or sunspot observations, you may be in the daylight and may need some sunscreen. And drink plenty of liquids if it's hot. Again, that's usually not so much of a problem with astronomy. And use insect repellent. And this can be an important thing because if you're doing astronomy shortly after sunset, that tends to be when there's a lot of mosquitoes out. And I should give credit. You can see my citation down below for Troop 328. They put a lot of information about Astronomy Merit Badge online, and I use a lot of that information. So make sure that you check out all my image sources if you're interested, or my video sources, or my information sources. I have the hyperlinks on these slides. Okay, so this is the review here. It says, explain to your counselor the most likely hazards you may encounter while participating in astronomy activities and what you should do to anticipate, help, prevent, mitigate, and respond to these hazards. So please go find your parent or guardian and report to them this information, and they'll let me know that you passed this off.